So we're going to talk about some video games this week, everybody. We have been playing a game that is very, very exciting. Ratchet and Clank: A Rift Apart has come out. It is probably the first ever PlayStation 5 exclusive that is truly a PlayStation 5 exclusive. And what's shocking about this game is that they just released Spider-Man Miles Morales, Spider-Man Miles Morales, like back last November, right? Like November, October, whenever the consoles came out.
Right.
November.
Right.
Yeah. They released that game. And then now here we are, like not even a year later, and they've released Ratchet and Clank: A Rift Apart. Now, obviously they're a big studio, but that's still pretty freaking impressive to bring out two top-notch, high-quality games that are built for PlayStation 5 that fully support the PlayStation 5, which we'll talk about more of that in a second, in less than a year. And we're still waiting on other people to bring a game out for this thing. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And I thought it was really cool that they even had an article that came out on Game Informer that said that this whole entire game was built without crunch. Developers have come out and said that there was no crunch during the development of this game, and that people were actually working like 8-hour work days.
Holy. That is... Wow.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say. Play this game, and that is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
That statement.
Yeah, because this one guy, Graham Parker, went out and said that he worked 40 hours a week the whole time, the entire time he was playing on this game, and clearly he like appreciates the game because he's like very proud of it, and he's talking about that.
Yeah,
and then other people chimed in and was like, I didn't crunch either, entire production. Like, it's completely possible to make a crunch-free game. So that's really,
only
really
on
exciting.
PlayStation.
That's right. Only on PlayStation.
Well, let's not talk about Last of Us because there was crunch there.
Well, yeah, that's fair. So Ratchet and Clank. So this is a brand new story, brand new sequel to the Ratchet and Clank series. It basically opens up with the idea that Dr. Nefarious, who is the consistent villain across all the Ratchet and Clank games, you are being celebrated. You and Clank are being celebrated at this big, huge festival thing. And then Dr. Nefarious shows up and is like, no, I'm going to take this thing from you, because Clank had built the Dimensionator, and you have this Dimensionator in your hand, and then freaking Nefarious decides to come and take it, and then opens up a bunch of rifts, and then starts sending people through different dimensions and shit like that. And that's kind of the core of what makes this game so next generation, is when you start experiencing these dimensional rifts and transitioning to different worlds and levels without like loading screens or loading of any kind. And I want to start by mentioning that this game is flipping gorgeous. It's like it's like better looking almost than I think it is better looking than some Pixar movies, to be honest.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And the thing is I've been saying, Returnal's like, you want to play it on PlayStation 5 because it looks so good. And then it's like, but then you want to play Resident Evil. What was the next one?
Village.
Wait, but it's like 8, right?
Oh yeah, Resident Evil 8.
7, whatever.
Resident Evil 7 Biohazard.
That's right. I don't know. Whatever. That one, I'm like, man, you really want to play it because it looks so good on the PlayStation 5. But dude, I didn't think you get so like any better than all of those, because those look freaking phenomenal on the PlayStation 5. But this just blows it out of the water, and it plays like a Pixar movie. Like going from cutscene to back to gameplay is what I like to see. And I mean, you never get taken out of the experience. I mean, It's the one game this year that I'm like, yes, everyone needs to play this. This is what sells the PlayStation 5. I will. What is it when you like? I will shill for PlayStation 5 because this game is so good and people need to play it.
Yeah. No, it's incredible. Like, I bought it. So this is the first game in a long time. I bought this on the day after it came out, and I beat it already. Like I beat
amazing.
it. I've gone through all of it, and I
before
didn't,
me,
before Austin. Like, I was freaking digging this game. I played last Saturday like 5 hours, and then this past Saturday I played like 4 or 5, and then Sunday I played another couple. So I mean, I played it in probably 5 sittings throughout the course of like a week and a half, and it just never got boring. Like, it's so good in so many different ways. Like, from the Ratchet and Clank is known for like the cool platforming, the cool guns. Like there's a whole bunch of guns that they bring in here, and this game like really takes the guns to the next level with the usage of the PlayStation 5 hardware. So like one of my favorite guns in the game was the lightning rod, where it shot out lightning, and then whenever you were shooting at bad guys, it kind of like auto locked onto players or other enemies. So it like lightnings bolt them, and then they turn into like X-rays where you could see like them being shocked inside, and it would just like bounce around all over the place, and you just see a bunch of these things with like light shimmering and the ray tracing happening everywhere and all this stuff in beautiful 4K. Meanwhile, I'm like hitting boxes and shit and blowing things up, and there's like freaking those little like rivet things just flying around everywhere and like flowing into me, and it's just like there's so much happening on the screen and not even no lag at all. And I was playing on I was playing on the quality mode, so I thought about turning on performance, but I was like, no, I want to keep it at high fidelity.
And
it looked
normally I'm like, I want to turn up, well, because you play Avengers, right? And if you play in HD, it's 30 FPS, and when you turn over to 60 FPS, which is performance, like you can tell
it's a very noticeable
there's a
difference.
Huge difference, and you want to play on the faster FPS.
Right.
It just makes sense. But for this one, there is a lot going on, but honestly, I haven't noticed.
Yeah.
Like just keep it on the high quality. It's so good.
Yeah.
But back to everything going crazy. I want to get into this later, but we'll just talk about it now because you brought up all the guns. Like I found my set of things I do, and so I was playing in the arena, which is this place you go to eventually later on in the game, about a third of the way through, I guess. Yeah. If you want to use that as a measurement, and so I have the sprinkler. So I throw a sprinkler down, right?
Yep.
So I can throw 2 down now. So I threw 2 down, and I threw 2 of the Mr. Fungi out. So, and every time one of them pops out, they have an extra one with them. So I had 4 out there. And then I have the shotgun. Then I threw the little animal robots out. Oh, yeah. So there's 4 of those guys running around.
The Glove of Doom or whatever.
Yeah, Glove of Doom. And then I have the shotgun, the shock gun, the little electric gun. And I'm shooting them, and I have it where multiple, like more than, excuse you, Evie. Multiple people can get, so I have like 4 or 5 people that get trapped in that. So like there's this spinning thing of death. I'm sure you've played it, and it like marks a target and goes flying across this arena. And I have all of this down. I'm dodging this with this little warp jump. So there's like multiple of me, and it's like this dodge. So literally this screen is on fire all across. There's so much happening, and there is no lag. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. I'm just shooting and dodging, and things are dying and blowing up. There's like when the sprinkler hits people, it turns them to leaves, so they like are stuck in place for a while. And so you have like multiple of those guys, and then they just go to shocking, and then things are exploding. And I was like, yeah, this is the game I've been waiting for.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's so much fun to try them and find different combinations of tactics. It's funny. I played through well over 60% of the game before I ever thought. I just, for some reason, thought in my head if I lay down one of the fungi or one of the sprinklers, that's all I could lay down. So I would never lay down more than one.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah. You can definitely.
Yeah. And then I went into the brawler one time because there was one part where I had to take down. So that one of the missions you get, I think we get to the gold tier, or it might be silver. You get random weapon, and you have to kill 5 people with a random weapon. And so with that, I had the the topiary sprinkler. No, it was Mr. Fungi, and I was like, how am I going to kill these people with that? With just one of them, it's going to take forever. So then I threw one down, I threw another one down, I was like, oh, duh, there it goes. Okay, they're all attacking. So I'm an idiot. I should have just thrown them all down and let them all fight, and then go and get my other guns and go crazy with it. And that was really eye opening when that happened. But I love every mechanic in this game. They did such a great job with designing it, because I'm always, you know me, I'm always overwhelmed by systems. Especially with like heavy duty inventory and all this and all that stuff that comes into play with like working through menus, this, that, whatever. But there wasn't a single system in this game that felt like it was a nuisance, or it was challenging to work through. And there was always, if there was something where I was like, man, I wish they had this, I either had it at that moment or eventually I got that capability to do that thing. So like for example, when you're every gun that you get as you're playing through the game, you collect the it's a rivet or it's a bolt. You collect the bolts.
Yeah, nuts and bolts.
Yeah, you collect the bolts, and then the nuts and bolts, and then you also collect the radium or whatever it's called, which is like this crystal thing that it lets you upgrade stuff. And the radium you collect throughout the map, and it's hidden. You have to kind of discover it as you go. Sometimes it's in plain sight, but sometimes you have to go and discover it. And then the bolts are just like everywhere. Like you just break boxes and you get bolts. So as you do that, you use the bolts to unlock the new guns, and then you use the radium to upgrade your guns. And when you're upgrading them, you have this like hexagonal like chart thing, and you have different upgrades that you can unlock to just make your gun better. And then there's like these yellow pieces that show up where if you surround hexagons all the way around that set of yellow hexagons, then you unlock that special perk ability. And then I was like, that's cool. So I started doing them one at a time for a while. And then I saw a little button at the bottom that said chain select. You do chain select, and then you can just like literally just do a chain selection and just like you press triangle and you just start click, 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 click. And it shows you in the upper right corner how many bullets or how many of the radiums you're using. And then when you're done, you just hold down X and it buys them all at once. So I can go in there, and then later on, once you get further in the game, you unlock the ability to just purchase the whole entire like set, because you're going to have so much radium that's coming at you that like they basically add the ability to say purchase it all, and then you just finish out the entire the skill tree, and then it unlocks everything. So they piecemeal these things. So they slowly introduce the mechanics and then piecemeal that stuff in later to where it like then gives you more flexibility with the mechanics in the game. And I just loved how they built that into the system. It was very complex, but still easy to understand. And then same with like the armor. For a second, I thought I had to equip the armor to get the buffs. And I was like, well, this is cool, but I kind of like this armor piece more than this armor piece. But Insomniac was smart, and they were like, well, they want you to collect the armor, but they don't want you to be hindered by a piece of armor that you don't like. So when you collect the stuff on the right-hand side, it's got a menu that says your collection bonuses. And it just says, based on the armor you collect, it just aggregates that all together, and it adds up as you collect more stuff. So you have an incentive to unlock armor, but you don't have to be locked into, I want to wear these 3 pieces because they give me that incentive. You just get the incentives for every piece of armor you get, and you can mix and match whatever you want for your armor pieces. And I was like, no idea. That's so amazing. Yeah. So it's like things that you like slowly discover as you kind of navigate through.
And I really like the progression, like because you start with a few guns, and then you get some of the crystals, and they let you upgrade it, and then you can buy new guns, and as you progress, you get more and more new guns, and then it's like, okay, well, now I have like 2 wheels of guns I can pull up and choose from. Mm-hmm. And it's like, what am I going to use? What do I want to upgrade? I kind of found the stuff that I want, but I mean that progression is there, and I'm always looking for these nooks and crannies in the game, and it's always like there's enough there where it's super interesting and enticing to like kind of explore a little bit. And I mean, I think even with all that, this game's a little simplistic compared to most. But I think this goes to show that if you have a really good story, you don't need these complex systems. And I guess I'll use the Division 2 as an example. Like the story sucks, but they have these complex systems which are kind of fun to mess with and things, but at the end of the day, it's just overly complicated. There's just no reason for it. And this just goes to show you have a good story, you can kind of almost do whatever you want. Anything that works. Now, I haven't played any of the other ones. So maybe you can kind of compare those older ones compared to this one.
I mean, they're all very similar. I can't remember the early days of Ratchet and Clank, but I mean, I played Ratchet and Clank 2016, and it was very similar in that you play the story mission, you go from world to world, and you unlock guns, and you use the bolts to like purchase that stuff. But that one I never got as into. I guess I don't know if it was just the mechanics weren't as strong or what it was, but this one I just loved how like the world design was always really interesting. With every place I went to, there's always something new and different to I mean, some of them were just like basic. You're just like walking through a big open area that's got like cliffs and things and whatnot. And then another one, you have like floating ships that you're flying around, like jumping from point to point to point. Another one, you go underneath the water into this like underwater like facility. And there's just like all these different places that you get to explore and adventure through that have special just unique characteristics to them. And then the other thing that we haven't mentioned yet, so we like most games, you have Ratchet and Clank. This one, they introduced a new character, and her name's Rivet. So it's a female Lombax that is in the other dimension. So when you first get transported to another dimension, you meet this other Lombax. And in this other dimension, there is an equivalent version of everybody that's in your dimension. So your equivalent Ratchet is Rivet, but then the equivalent of Clank is a little robot character named Kit, who is super cool and very shy and like, you know, very interesting new addition to the game. And then like you have the equivalent of Dr. Nefarious is Emperor Nefarious in this other game, and he's like way more powerful and stronger and just better in every way.
A lot cooler.
A lot cooler, yeah. The other one's like a little wimp and stuff like that. But there's always an equivalent version of them in this next dimension, which is kind of cool because it's like they show you those characters in the first dimension, and then you see their counterpart in the other one. And it's just like, it's super interesting to see those differences between all the characters. And they all have a ton of personality, which I really like. I mean,
love the characters.
The voice acting is like perfect in every one of them. And it's just like super funny and charming and just very entertaining all the way through. I mean, there's never a dull moment in like either the conversations between Ratchet and Clank or the conversations between, you know, Rivet and Kit or Rivet and Clank, because there's a lot of a point where you're like with those two together. And I love that they made you play so much of Rivet, because like most of the game, I feel like over half of the game is you playing as Rivet, which is cool because I really liked her character a lot.
Yeah, she's a great, I guess, new coming character to the whole universe.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I haven't played any, so I mean, she was great just to play in general for the first time, not knowing anything.
Right. Yeah.
So how did you feel? Because there's I mean, it's pretty linear early on, and then it gets to the point where you get to travel off world, and you go to this one world I forgot what it's called, and it's kind of like deserty. There's some monks there, and you go there, and
yeah, those like
I didn't realize it was going to be open area, and I'm just like, I've played some of the game. I mean, I've seen some of like the other games, and I mean, not too much. Maybe they have this in the other ones, but for me, I didn't expect there to be like this open world you can kind of explore and find cool stuff. And when I saw that and they gave you the little jet boots and you can go really fast, and I was like, dude, this is amazing. Like instantly I was captured. Yeah. I was like, this is everything I wanted in this game. I didn't even know it. And I was expecting, like, I already had my mindset for linear gameplay. There's a cool story. It's going to be like a Pixar movie. And it's like, cool. I'm down with that.
Yeah. So
what did you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. That's definitely, I think that world right there is the biggest one you encounter throughout the game. But it was a nice surprise. I don't think, as far as I know, I haven't seen one that's like that open like that. And that one was big. I mean, there's a lot to explore in that map. I mean, there's like a couple gold keys. There's a spy bot. There's that whole side mission, finding the Lombax lore, which is actually also worth doing. Just a lot of really interesting things. There's like the freaking mountain race that you have to do as one of the main missions there. And I was like, that was crazy. Yeah. Like so many cool mechanic-y things. And then just learning how to use the boots and like moving around in that space was really nice. And that brings up the whole movement and traversal mechanics that come into play that they introduce throughout the game. And it's just like right when you think you've learned everything, they throw something else at you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, like you can double jump, and then you can like jump and glide, and then you can do the boots that make you move really fast. You can do the you can latch onto these like grappling hook things. There's one eventually that you unlock that like is a super fast spinny one that like launches you through the air really quickly. There's like gliding on the rails that you can do. I mean, there's like so many different like movement mechanic things that come into play throughout the course of the game that just like kind of surprised. The dash, which I was like, how do I get through this freaking security door? Oh, you dash, and like you kind of temporally like transfer through time in through the door. It's like, oh my gosh, there's all these things. Yeah, phase dash. Yeah,
and I mean, again, like I said, progression. Like it all comes up in a nice pace where like you're learning it and you use it and you add that to your library of things you can do and combinations of stuff you want to do. And I mean, it's great, man. It's great.
Yeah. I also really like I didn't expect this, and this may have been in the old ones either, but when you unlock the gold bolts, and you go pick those up, and they give you like a special something. It's kind of like a cheat code in a way, where it's like some of them give you like new frames for your photo mode and stuff like that, but others like unlock, there's one of them that lets you change what the bolts are that you collect. So instead of collecting bolts, you can change it to you be collecting energy drinks, or you collect gems, or you collect coins. So it changes what they are, and they all have new sound effects and new appearances and new visual everything.
Oh man,
with that.
I've been missing out on that.
Yeah, and there's like you can get a point where you can change your hammer to be like a key or like a pirate sword or something like that.
All right, I need to get that.
Yeah, there's one you get that unlocks like big head mode, where you can go big head or little head.
That's awesome.
There's one that you get that when you hit people and you do a KO with a hammer, it's like batters up and like flies them across the screen.
What?
Just, like all these crazy like goofy mechanics that come.
And
in
you
with
could
those
change
gold
it.
Keys.
I didn't know how to change it.
If you go in the collectibles menu under the gold keys section and you look at each one, you just arrow over left and right, and it'll change it. It'll tell you in the bottom right what the description is of that item and what perk it gives you. And some of them don't give you anything. Like some are just like literally a photo mode upgrade, or it'll unlock like new story codex stuff or whatever. But a lot of them one of them gives you like a ship cosmetic. So you have like 3 different colors you can choose for your ship.
Man, I've been missing out.
Yeah. So definitely worth. I mean, everybody that's listening to this, like when you pick this game up, highly recommend doing the spy bot because it gives you a badass gun. And I highly recommend exploring a little bit. Like you don't have to get all the stuff, but like the gold bolts, especially early on, give you a lot of really cool perks and bonuses that are just neat to play with and explore. Yeah, really, really good stuff.
So I think we should bring up this conversation we were having earlier. This is the first game, I think, out of the year where I'm finally like, this is definitely game of the year content right here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I couldn't think of anything else that was better than this so far.
Yeah, because, I mean, looking through what we've had this year, I mean, we've had Mass Effect Legendary Edition, Biomutant, Resident Evil Village, Pokemon Snap, Returnal, Monster Hunter Rise, Yakuza Like a Dragon, which came out last year. Hitman 3 came out this year. Yeah, I mean, there's not like huge heavy hitter titles that like below. I mean, I think It Takes Two is really, really good, but it's definitely not near what this game is at all. But I mean, as far as like cool quality and stuff like that, but yeah, I think Ratchet and Clank just as a whole package. So this game took me 15 hours to beat. It wasn't 100% completion, but I did every single arena mission. I got all the spy bots. I got, I think, 18 of the 25 gold keys.
Nice.
And a couple other things. Didn't get all the armor stuff or anything like that, but did a lot of those. And yeah, 15 hours to complete, which I was satisfied with. I mean, this game was what, $70? Was it $70?
Yeah,
full price.
$70. Yep.
Not complaining for this. The quality of this game and how. Oh, another thing too. PS5. I tested it from clicking Ratchet and Clank on the home screen to being in the game. 8 seconds. That's even with my lag time to click the save that I was loading. 8 seconds from there to in the game. I was like, holy shit.
Damn.
To beauty. That's what it is.
It is.
And 8 seconds to beauty.
Before we move on, I don't know if we are or not, but so you and Jason have always bring up like the controller's cool. They have that that pulling and stuff like on any of the other shooting games, and I always have to turn it off because I hate it. And it happened in this game, and it's like, hey, you can half pull a trigger and like throw this reticle out, and it shows you the direction of like, because eventually you get you can throw bombs or like grenades, and it's a glove, and then you full pull it, and then it goes flying. And a lot of the guns do that. Like a shotgun, you could pull, and it's like one barrel shot. But then if you pull like full pull, it's like a double barrel shot. So they have all these like things within the game that have the trigger pull and rumble, and you can feel the tension and everything. And I was like, this is the first game I'm 100% okay with all of that, because up to this point, I don't know why, but I have hated the controllers, the trigger effect, and vibration's fine, but
yeah. No, I'm really glad you brought that up, because that is this game did such a good job taking advantage of the DualSense controller. Like from when you're walking across the ground, there's little click clack noises that come out of the controller from the feet, and there's little vibrations that go left and right in the controller. I was like, that's such a cool feeling thing that happens. And then Every gun, like, I mean, the fact that there's a utility to it, to every single gun. Like, I use a scatter shot a lot. That was one of my favorite guns early on, that you just like half pull, then it gave you the reticle, and then you full pull and it shot the bomb. I use that one often. And then later on you get the you get like a sniper rifle that will like you hold down and it does slow motion, and then on the other side you can use, like, there's a bunch of different clicks that you can use to like do different types of things with it, that I was like, this is incredible. Like, in basic use, I mean, it's simple step mechanics and stuff like that, but just the sound, like the pixelator. Did you use a pixelator that much?
Which one's the pixelator?
It's the one that turns everybody into pixels, or like they look like they turn it like a pixel form. It's like a shotgun, but it's early on in the game. It could be early on in the game if you unlock it, but basically it's like kind of close quarters shotgun blast. But when you shoot them, it makes this like 8-bit pixel sound that comes out of your controller. That sounds really funny, and then it turns every character into like 8-bit pixels are on the screen.
And it has not popped up for me yet.
It looks so cool. Like, highly recommend just getting it just for a little bit. Plus, it is pretty powerful. It's a pretty powerful gun early on, but the visual effect of it is really nice. And then the lightning bolt, of course, is really nice. Is a gun you get way later in the game that I'm not going to tell secrets about, but trust me when you see it. It talks about holes. It's beautiful to look at.
Well, speaking of guns, there's this one where you shoot out like I forgot what it's called, but you shoot out like this metal thing and it's glowing, and then you can click the trigger. Like, if you hit the target, you can click the trigger multiple times, and it's like a ping pong. Goes,
the ricochet,
bing, bing, bing. The ricochet. Yeah. It's just hilarious to use.
So silly.
I know, and I love it. Like, there's another one. I like it because it like stuns them technically for like a few seconds, and then there's one. It's like the saw blades you can throw out.
Oh yeah,
and it like it hits them and it like goes around on them and like creates. It's like a little area effect thing as well. Little things like that is like, this is freaking awesome. And like the sprinkler, like it targets people and goes around and freezes them in place, and it's just like
There's one. Did you get the cold snap yet?
I just got that where it freezes them.
Yeah, it turns them into ice cubes, and you can go up with your hammer and just bash them. It's a one-hit kill.
Yeah, I love it.
It's like really nice, just like, especially with those little like green slime things that you'll get in the arena at one point. If you just like blast them with the cold thing, it like turns like 7 of them into ice cubes, and you just go bam, 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 bam. You just like kill them all real fast. It's really cool.
I was using the shock one when I was down in the water. Or in the underwater base, and I would shoot them because they'd all come out. Yeah, it would freeze them in place, and I just go.
That was a really cool mission too. That was the first time I was kind of like creeped out a little bit, but it was really good. Right. The other thing I was going to mention before we finish off, those puzzle missions that they have. There's the part where you're trying to find Ratchet or Clank's possibilities, or help his possibilities get through. Yeah. So it's like a part of the game is like you have this like 3-tier puzzle mission where you're like trying to send Clank's possibilities through this like puzzle mission to learn more about the different possibilities you have in solving this problem or whatever, but they make it into a game. There was one of them I got stuck on, and I was like, you know what? I wonder if this takes advantage of the activity cards. Sure enough, it does. So I pressed my PlayStation button.
Glad you brought that up.
And it told me that, for one, the mission I was on, it said there's about 10 minutes left, which was really cool. So every mission I was doing told me about how much time I had left. And on this one, I was stuck. So I clicked on the mission, and it said what mission I was on, and it said game hints available. And I clicked into it, and it popped up a new card, and there was a 2-minute video that literally was a full walkthrough of that mission that showed me every single move that you do. And it was picture in picture. So I could be playing the game and watching the video on my screen in real time and like do it to get through that. So I didn't have to like look it up on YouTube or something like that. So that was pretty awesome in that moment. It's just one of those things that like, until developers fully adopt it in that utility there, it was incredible.
And I just realized after getting halfway through this game that is a thing. So I'm like, because you go to say, like, when you load the game up from the start screen, it tells you like how far, like how much progress you have, right? And so I've been using that as like just a somewhat of like, okay, where I'm at in this game. Right. I forgot you can just pull the freaking quick card things, and it's just like, okay, there's more information.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, well, fuck yeah, not enough people. If this was like there from the start on every game that's on PlayStation 5, I think it'd be a different story. And at this point, it's just like, I don't really care anymore. And I know maybe in the future I will start using them, but
I think
I
we'll
just
get
feel
there
like-
eventually. It's just going to take some time
Yeah, it will.
because there's just not enough exclusives out there yet. But once you start getting more of them coming more consistently, I think we'll start seeing it more commonly used. I hope.
Right.
But yeah, DualSense though definitely showed up in this game for sure.
So one more thing, the antivirus robot that you get
Glitch.
to play.
Oh my gosh, we haven't talked about Glitch
yeah.
yet.
So Jason's in love with her apparently.
Yeah.
I think she's pretty cool. I wouldn't say I'm in love with her.
Yeah.
Maybe saying Jason's in love with her is a little too strong. I don't know.
Right.
You tell me.
I don't know.
It sounded like that when he texted
There's definitely some romance going on there. There's love in there somewhere.
But did you realize that you could skip her missions?
No, I heard about that though from an accessibility standpoint.
I hit start because I died on one of her missions, and I hit start to go to the restroom. It said skip puzzle, and I was like, I can just skip this puzzle.
Yeah.
Like I thought that was kind of weird, but cool that it's available. Like if you just want to get to the story.
Yeah.
I mean, I think her little side puzzles are fun.
Yeah, I love the side puzzle. No, they were saying, I was listening to a podcast talking about it from an accessibility standpoint, like because it's like the type of thinking that you're having to do with that. It's there for people that struggle with solving those abstract puzzles, that they have the skip option so that they don't have to be deterred by the game and can get past that. So that's like the main reason for it. But then it's also just nice if you just can't get through it. You're like, oh, I'm just gonna skip it.
Yeah,
and
I find them too challenging.
Do it that way.
That's just me.
Yeah. The last one got pretty hard. It was like my head was flipping around, so I was like, oh, which direction do I go? I got to go up this wall, and I got to go back down that wall.
Oh yeah. I like them. They're so like, well, they're abstract. Like you start here, climb a wall, and now like this is a new like normal level surface that you're on, and it gets a little trippy. So I can see why some people might get confused.
Yeah. But no, it's a really cool like mini game. There's just all those things. Like, there's a point where you like get to fly Trudy. Have you flown Trudy yet? The dragon thingy?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that'll be in that worldy you go to where you ride the steeples or the beeples or whatever they are, the little like slug things where you ride those around and like do fancy things. Later on, you get to fly Trudy, which is a dragon character, and you have to collect these things throughout. And
Brett, stop spoiling it for me.
It's fun. Well, I mean, it'll be quick and easy to see.
All right. Another thing you just kind of remind me of is when you're going from like planet to planet. Like I think that after you go to the first planet, like 2 planets open up, and then you can decide which one to go to. And then when you pick on one of those, depending on which one you picked, you get to switch over to Rivet. And I thought that was really cool because I was like, well, when do we like? I thought it was going to be linear, where it's like, oh, you can go here or there, but they kind of give you the option to just go about the story as you want. And I was like, oh, that's a cool surprise too. Like.
Yeah,
you know, it just depends. I just went down the line, so I
figured that's. I like you can always go back too. So it's like if you don't want to do a side quest at that moment, you can always go back to a previous one and just like find more stuff. And so that's really nice to have that in there. But yeah. So Ratchet and Clank,
we love this game.
It's awesome. Yeah, 5 stars, 5,000 stars. It's really really good. Shout out to the Insomniac team for putting out an awesome quality game on the PlayStation 5. Well worth the wait. Even though I was so hyped leading up to it, like my hype was satisfied, and that's very rare. So
especially these days.
I know, for real.